Welcome everyone to the next webinar with an interesting title, Going Omnichannel. Don't forget your modular content toolkit, the 5 reasons why. So sounds very promising, and glad to welcome here today Nataliya Andreychuk, the CEO of Viseven. Hi Nataliya, how are you?
Great, thank you Dario for the invitation. Great meeting, great people with a very nice and inspiring topic.
Thank you, Nataliya. Then we have our fellow partner 𝗚cie, or actually Jose Maria Guido Avila. Hi 𝗚cie, how are you?
Hi Dario, I'm fine, thank you. Yes, you can always call me 𝗚cie. My name is too long, so yeah, nice to be here.
Romika Bhowmick from Teva. Romika, you celebrated very heavily, I suppose, the King's Day yesterday, right?
Yeah, if it was too heavy, then I wouldn't be here. But yeah, it was really nice. Yeah, thanks for the invitation, Dario, to the panel. Thanks
Always a pleasure, Romika. And Pavel Klymenko, also from Viseven. Pavel, same question to you. Hope everything is well.
Hello. Yes, everything is fine. Hope the same is for you. Hello, everyone.
Thank you, Pavel. And before we deep dive into our conversation, I would just like to kindly remind you that we are actually 2.5 weeks away from our live event in Dubrovnik, our first live event since 2019, which is almost sold out. So if you would like to grab some tickets, let us know, and hopefully to see you all in beautiful and amazing Dubrovnik. So let's kick off the conversation, and actually what we will do is Nataliya prepared some very interesting insights and slides. So Nataliya, I just made you as presenter, so the stage is yours.
Thank you, Dario. Thank you for sharing this amazing possibility to share the slides. Topic is very interesting indeed. We always, this is a very orthodox or a very classical way to discuss omnichannel and modular content separately. And today we have a great chance to connect the both topics and see why it is important to understand how they are related. I have a little bit of busy slide. Please don't be shocked with it. Here is like the classic entrance to the omni-channel, where we all understand what is the visual part of the iceberg, where we can see all the parts like segmentation, campaign management and orchestration, technical infrastructure, data management, other things related to the data-driven decisions, and a little bit of the content, which is the content strategy team, which is usually a separate track. And in most cases, in our experience, it is really disconnected at some point from the main part of the omni-channel journey. So but I want to stress today on the most vital parts of content strategy, which are very relying on the omni-channel strategy, and there even seems like the two sides of the same coin, right? So what I want to say today about this, I want to bring on the table, because my role to set up the scene to discuss, and that's why I will lead us to this discussion. I want at least to lead us to this discussion, where to see how digital asset management is important, and how it's evolutionary growing in its importance. Taxonomy and tagging, new strategic role, the modular approach as the main approach to the content production in the future, create once publish everywhere approach, content offering together with the self-service, where in the past we were thinking and speaking about white gloves only, and how to operate with all of this in the multi-vendor environment. Of course, we have to see that this is already beyond the water, because if we see down to the water, we can see much more interesting things, because to be successful in this path, there is a big deal of change management, which is related to our digital maturity, to the process and governances we are able to set up and timely, and to our digital mindset, and to our acquaintance to the artificial intelligence in the first part. how it works usually with us, why we have seen this at some point of time, that this is the exactly two parts of the same coin. So we are Viseven, we are working a lot as digital content agencies or content hubs, and today with me my colleague Pavel, who is not only an omni-channel guru, he has participated and leaded in the past and leading today several multi-channel hubs set up. So that's the very perfect combination gave us a very good impression that the success recipe of working in the omni-channel and modular hub together would be to treat them with the equal dignity from the very beginning. So we call the content strategy part, which is normally a digital content production or DCF or just content hub, it's the foundation for our content management ecosystem, where all the platforms, all the process and governance are belong. And the other part, which is arrives at the very same time at this station, is omni-channel campaign execution service, where this part of business with the tool, processes and people, with the planning, segmentation, engaging and executions are connected to the very vital parts of content production. You would say, how does it look in general? I have been not so lazy, I have brought the example. So it is just the example. What I'm trying to say here, it's how usually the setup could look like where digital asset management is making a very big progress and possessing very core place in this architecture, where content offering evolves into content acceleration, touching a lot of other processes. Taxonomy and tagging are very strategic part of it, and automation under the hood is our future, because every one of us are very tired of manual working on this part. So we are all seeking the automation, and that's why there is this AI disruption which is coming towards this significant part of the workload we have. And of course, it is very agnostic approach to the downstream part of the process, where we need to be connected to the different systems in the same time to maintain this agility of choice, where we can push the same content not only in the different channels but into the different systems which are working with the messaging and the customer engagement. And the last but not least from me today for this very nice discussion is how the both topics are connected around content, and how I would describe this very vital content strategy piece, which is connected to the omni-channel approach the most. First of all, it's really using the content creation approach, where we are slicing the content, where we are creating the chunks, components, modules. I have met a lot of names to these chunks today, but the main thing is they have to be flexible, they have to be reusable, remixed, reviewed once, utilized once, very traceable. We have to structure content in the right way, because it has to be not only human readable, but of course machine readable for the future generation of the content offering and acceleration tools. Then making it semantically rich, of course we are prepared to work in multi-vendor environment, where we have to put in place the right governance and to work with the change management into the direction that these structures and the content program, how we create the content, will be changed and standardized in the first place. Then, of course, we have to focus ourselves on reuse. Reuse is one of the most vital parts of the omni-channel success, because once we are having the very same core, we understand technically, it is very easy, it's quite easy to make sure that your artificial intelligence algorithm will be learning the right things to make sure that for the future, these personalization engines is not a manual work. That's why we have to begin this journey from the very beginning, from where the content has been created, and to change the way how we treat the content in the first place, and how we create it from scratch, how we structure it, how we put the sentences, how we translate it, how we lead our agencies, what kind of governance we have. And we have to tick all these boxes. It has to be modular, well structured, rich, semantically reusable, and agnostic. Then this approach will lead us to the way where today manually, tomorrow automatically we'll be able to adjust and tailor this content at any time, at any stage of our customer journey. So, and I will, at this part, I will transfer the word to Pavel, who is Omnichannel expert, and will put his scene around the topic.
Thank you, Natalia. So, Pavel, I just gave you the presenter rights, so you're able to share the screen.
Thank you, Darius. Thank you, Natalia. Is the presentation visible?
No, still not. Yes, we can see that. Fantastic. Thanks.
Okay. So for some reason, it did not work from the beginning. Thank you. Okay. So speaking about the omnichannel and actually the main problems that currently everyone is facing, including pharma as well, is really that this big struggle to get the engagement level, proper engagement level. And we all understand that the noise, all this messages that is bombarding our HCP, it's a lot of them currently. So the only proper way to deal with it and to break through all these noises is really to go to personal experience, to personalize our communication, to personalize our messages to the maximum possible extent. That is actually the only way. So there's a couple of numbers just to prove this thought. It's just from the Salesforce research that we see at 57% of different users, customers would like to share their personal information in order to get more personal offers, more personal content, more personal communication experience. So really people would like to share the information only when they understand that it will lead and convert into more personalized experience for them. And 62% of the audience is okay to receive this personalized offers, personalized content based on the historical data, some interactions say in the past, and so on. So in sense of how to achieve this personalization and what kind of levels of digital this communication maturity, first of all, in sense of this personalization, we can distinguish. So on the bottom level, it's multi-channel. All of us, I think, is more or less understanding that we have different channels, some set of channels that we are using. It's not actually the omni-channel one, still just different channels that we are using in silos. So on the next level, it's what we can call more or less standard omnichannel approach, is that most company currently in pharma market is trying to achieve, who is really doing some steps toward omnichannel. So on the higher level on this is really some advanced personalization and dynamic content that is using as a part of the omnichannel experience that we're trying to bring to our audience, to our HCP. When we really try to personalize this message to some extent, when we really write in order to do this, we're trying to use this personalization, use this dynamic content, and so on. And on the top of everything is really, I think no pharma currently is there, but some companies already doing some steps on this direction. And we actually involved currently in one of the projects that is around them. It's called real-time interaction management. It's really personalized journey and some personalized experience that is personalizing in real time. It's really the top that it could be possibly, and it's worth moving there. So I will explain what actually, from practical perspective, what does it mean on this top real-time interaction management in some example of one of the possible journey. It's not like it's just a theory. It's what we currently, as I mentioned, implementing in one of the project. So how it look like? So on the first step, let's imagine that the HCP is getting email. It can be really other channels, but let's stay with the most common one. It can messenger, for example, email. It's also personalized, but let's for now just imagine that it's more or less general email. So the HCP is clicking the link on this email and going to the web portal or some landing page. Our landing page, of course, that we are in charge and can work with. So in the time of this HCP visiting this landing page is dynamically adjusted, personalized. The content is rebuilt, let's call it, to this particular HCP, to his needs, based on his profile, based on some historical data of his behavioral interest and so on. Of course, this stuff is powered additionally by the machine learning algorithms that is helping us to do this. So no one will do this manually. Where all the things that we can do is really to put some rules that is defining some variations of this content. So during this personalized experience journey within the landing page, within the portal, HCP is conducting some actions, some pressing some buttons, going to some other pages, communicating with engaging with our content. So as a result of these interactions, he is automatically putting into some segment. And by this segment, he is really triggering the journey that is preliminary built for these purposes, for this kind of interactions. And this journey is triggering the sequence of communication. Let's imagine also that this could be their emails as well. But once again, it could be other channels. If we, for example, connected here their mobile application, it could be mobile push messages on an app messages. It can be a web push notification on the portal and so on. So also there is the email that he receiving, but this is also the email that has some placeholders in it. And when the user after some day or hours is going to this email and interacting with this, the content in this email is also personalizing at the time of opening the email. Technically, it's possible. It's high-end like experience, but it's technically possible. So what is going next? After that, he also engaged in some way and clicking or opening our email. So our tech part, our tools, is sending some suggestions to the CRM that medical representative, key account managers, or any kind of other field force responsible person can work with. Different kind of this next best actions, some content recommendation, some interaction recommendation to some human being that, for example, can be used by the medical representative within their face-to-face visits. And based on this suggestion, so the medical representative can build his or her agenda for this face-to-face visits. So and after that, we can expect to get some prescription, some really actions that is meaningful for us. So this like the suggestion as an example of such a journey. So in sense of content,
and we can Pavel, we can deliver the meaningful content in the first place, right? Because we will personalize it on the fly. So all the manipulation with the content, which is usually happening, will happen through the automation and the machine learning algorithm, which will be put in place. But today, just a lot of these things are just happening manually.
Yeah, but it can be automated. Yeah. So
yeah.
and we all understand. So in sense of scaling, it's really impossible to do it all as manually. So we can do some part manually. Currently, we can sustain it to some extent, but the future is not with the manual one. So humans need to set up rules, set up vision, and so on, and to manage these tools, but not to do all this manual work by themselves. So the last slide just about the content itself. So how does it work from technical perspective and from the content management perspective? So we really preparing the communication. So on this slide, you just see the email, but the same stuff is for the other content, like with the same approach, landing page and web portals is working. So we prepared some templates, preparing some placeholders inside the asset, inside the email in this case, or inside the landing pages. And after that, we need to prepare different kind of these components that we call modules. And actually, that is the part of our module approach as well. So these modules can be separately approved through the MLR portal. And after that, you really can, if you go into this more high-level real-time interaction management approach, you really need to work more and managing modules as a core part of your content authoring process, let's call it this way. And really you need, in order to support this real-time interaction management, all the dynamic content, you really need to focus on these modules to really build the big library of these modules, approve it, manage it in proper way. And after that, this module, with the help of such high-level tools, can really adjust dynamically your content using this machine learning algorithm and bring this high-level personalized experience to our audience. So actually, that's all from our side. I think we can go directly to some discussions.
Thanks a lot, Pavel and Nataliya. Certainly very interesting what you're doing currently at Viseven, and it's very aligned with the current state of the ongoing transformation process. And based on that, and of course based on our preparation call, I would like to kick off the discussion with our first question, which is quite simple but interesting to ask. And this is, can we maybe define what is the current state of the life cycle of the omni-channel strategy in pharma? Can we rather say we are in a very mature phase, in the middle of such mature phase, or at the very beginning? So let's start with you, Romika.
Thanks, Dario, for the question. I think we are in somewhere in the middle stage right now. I wouldn't say we are in the mature stage at this point, but we still have a long way to go. But I think over the years now, we have sort of got, the platform selection and the platform adoption in different channels that we have available to our end users. So the different channels are available, but now still we have to move from a multi-channel to an omni-channel approach. And we have a clear direction towards omni-channel now. And it was, making it now more easy for the users to actually have access. Now it's about bringing in consistency and, across and getting the right user experience across the different channels. And that's the stage where we will probably have, the maturity stage. So there are certain markets that we have who are more evolved in terms of the availability of the platforms for the users. So we are going to be moving towards, taking gradual steps towards complete omni-channel approach.
Thanks a lot. So the journey started, we're in the middle of the cycle, and of course, still a lot of work to be done. Jose Maria, same question to you.
Yeah, before this meeting, I was actually on the same side of Romika. I was thinking that we were in the middle. But after this presentation, I think we are a little bit behind the middle, because I honestly think that there are many basic things that we need to fix, and that not necessarily have to do with platforms, right? Like, for example, I am very inspired by the tools that you have. Nataliya, because you're showing how to personalize on the go and how to improve or streamline all those processes. And yet, I think this, the pharma industry is still has a lot of MLR processes that are still struggling to develop even the simple visual aids, right? Or even so that's on the processes perspective, but also on the mindset perspective, the marketeers are still need to evolve into my brand is different, and therefore I don't need to create visual aids anymore, but I need to create modular content to feed a machine that like the one that you have, which is amazing. So I honestly think that now I'm realizing that I have to do even more work to be able to get to that future that you're showing. And just to finalize, the other thing that I was thinking as you were presenting is currently we're fighting for attention in the doctor's minds, right? In the doctor's attention, right? So the slide that you were showing, Pavel, in the beginning. But I think that now when we join the next best action team, the next best action group, our next best action is going to be fighting or chasing the attention against the other next best actions, like Spotify next best action being able to predict your mood. So there's going to be a moment where the doctor is going to have a moment to relax, for example, and there's going to be several next best actions suggesting Spotify suggesting music and Netflix suggesting movies, Uber Eats suggesting food, and we are going to come like, hey, pay attention to pharma at the same time, probably, right? So there's more work to be done to get to that future.
Sure. Thanks a lot, 𝗚Ce. Natalia, same question to you, but I also have an additional question which we received from the audience. So Sarah is asking, how do you measure the impact of the wizard? Example, how do you say if this dynamic personalized content succeeds in a better engagement compared to static content as example? So 2 questions for you.
Oh, that's great. So that's an easy task because I support Romika and her summary. So because there is a lot of work still to do. We are pretty mature from the platforms and tools perspective as community, as a pharma community, where we know where the tools are. We were implementing a long time, many years in the row, and now we are fighting for rising up the maturity level of every stakeholder, right? So digital maturity level has to grow up, because once we will be in that stage, we will understand, then every transformation will be easier, because our main enemy in this is the silos, the misunderstanding, the like we cannot go through the noise because we can't understand that my brand has to be treated differently. So this digital maturity, digital marketing maturity has to grow a lot to evolve together with the tools we have today on the market. And the content, the KPIs of content, right? So how we measure these KPIs of content, I think on one of my slides, I have shown this thesis where the taxonomy and tagging are becoming extremely strategic topic, because within the right model of tagging, we are introducing the commercial tagging or the other tagging niche, which is directly giving us another view on the data, because we will be able, not only with the tracing our modules, having them tagged and highly traceable, means really reusable, not copying them and pasting into the channels, but really reusing with the high traceability, retiring them, creating them once, retiring them once, eliminate every double translation work. We'll be able also to receive this data, this content data. So, and first of all, our tool is inheriting all the tagging from the digital asset management tool. So we understand now how important it is just to justify this project of taxonomy and tagging, and to make sure like this is because it is very big project. It is never ending story, because you have to constantly support it. And once this strategically becomes very important in the organization, we are able, with the help of such tools as the Wizard and the platforms which our colleagues in other companies are producing, we are able to inherit this tagging structure. We are able to keep it, do not lose it during the offering process of the content, and then we are able to take the data from our tool and take the data from the marketing automation tool and get this into data lake just in time. And this will be really about your content, not only the channels, not only the, you know, the from the segmentation part. So hopefully I have answered.
Absolutely, I'm very satisfied. So,
and short comment from my side, from Omnichannel perspective, and data-driven answered A/B tests. We run A/B tests and see the difference.
sorry, Pavel.
Thank you, Pavel. A/B testing.
A/B
Pavel
tests. A/B tests. Yep.
To test it and to see the difference.
Yeah, to test different approaches, different content
pieces,
pieces, and so on. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if I can jump in also here, I think A/B testing, it's a very good tool. I have implemented it several times, and it's a better way. It's a faster way to get to measure that content performance. It's really good, rather than long market research.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Next question. What would be the Swiss knife toolkit for the perfect omnichannel approach? And let's start this time with you, Pavel.
No, I think for us, for all of us, it will be not so many different visions on that. It's of course people, processes, tools, and data. Definitely, and there are also a lot of nuances in each of those. So in sense of tools, it's of course in our vision, it's CRM, market automation platform, and content authoring solution. Processes, it's also understandable. The bigger you are, the more good processes you need to implement, especially in sense of global to local interactions with agencies that help in vendors that supporting you with this is pretty crucial. And the people, maturity level, mindset, educational part, especially if we're talking about on the level of MC leads, or on the level of the field force, it's always pretty much, especially field force, pretty much the bottleneck in most cases.
Certainly, fully agree.
Because you need to educate not only one person, yeah, who can be really mature and so on. You need to educate and implement this transformation through a lot of people. Yeah, and I think colleagues will add here that it's pretty much the challenge.
Yeah, especially change management, which Nataliya also mentioned. I think that this is a very critical aspect, because many technology initiatives actually fail when it comes to the implementation. In most cases, it's due not well driven change management, right? So let's proceed with you, Jose Maria. Same question. How do you see the ultimate Swiss knife of today's modern omnichannel approach?
Well, again, after this meeting, my mind is changing. By the way, I could have given you a very different answer before this meeting. But I think, building on what Pavel said, I think that in terms of processes, we need to make sure that our MLR processes are suitable for this kind of future. Because in the end, if the process it's too burdensome, even for the medical and regulatory and legal teams, and then adding up now let's transform that process through artificial intelligence, that's another thing that it's going to be required change management. So I guess that bringing the people on board from all those support functions, it's super critical to be part of the Swiss knife, so that the processes are right in place from the beginning. But also from the other side, from the people's perspective and the training perspective, it's also, we need to think about, I like normally to think about the content from the customer's perspective, right? So at which stage of the journey is the customer, so that our content is gonna trigger that that behavior, right? So exactly what you were describing in your journey with using artificial intelligence. But if you prepare, if you have the system, if you have everything, and suddenly your content is not ready, so coming back to I remember these conversations about the content bottleneck a couple of years ago, which everybody was having problems with that. We're probably going to end up in the same direction if we become agile, if we execute better. We have more excellence in execution, and suddenly, boom, no content to feed your machine learning. This is going to be another critical point. So, allowing the people to understand how do they need to adapt, what new skills do they need to be able to provide the enough content for this machine to be working. It's a new set of skills that I don't think, I mean, coming from pharma, I have been in pharma for I know I look younger, but I have been already for 18 years. And I mean, in the old days, it was just a visual aid pushing messages through the sales reps, etc. So if people were building their career in that environment, that change into this new mindset is going to be very tough. So that would be the second component of the Swiss knife. And then I will show up. I will let others talk.
Thank you, Jose Maria. Natalia, I see that you look very intrigued, so please.
First of all, I support Pavel. I support Jose Maria with all the statements. This is very important, and we consider the existing environment, like where we are today, before we jump to the next level, right? And I want to start with this small story, like with the Martha Stewart, and many call her the mother of Omnichannel, right? And the main thing, like that Martha started her stories, which were related mostly to the cooking recipes, by do-it-yourself content. So what she did, she optimized all the aspects of these stories of cooking recipes through all the types of media, like books, magazines, television programs, websites, mobile apps, in-store experiences on her own. And supporting all of this idea, what I want to say, like education, yes, growing digital maturity level, yes, and there is a very big, crucial impact of self-service. Like we have to understand, first of all, how to tackle, to create, to adjust this content on our own. I don't mean technically, but yes, we have to know what is better for our brand. Like Martha Stewart, who was really creating all of these stories on her own in the old-fashioned way. We have all the platforms today, we have all the ecosystem, but we have to have this Martha Stewart spirit in mind. So, and this change management and education and digital maturity level growth is connected to our ability not just to understand, but to be able and capable of do-it-yourself approach as well. So this was the intrigue.
Thank you, Natalia.
What do you think?
Yeah, I would say that, you know, I agree with Natalia's point as well as Jose Maria's point as well on how difficult it is to implement bringing through change management, and the maturity of the, you know, the people and the marketeers varies from market to market. And we just have to now, like talking about the fundamentals of the processes, right? Ultimately, omni-channel means a lot of personalization, and if we can reach personalization to a level where we are able to give consistent customer user experience and easy engagement strategy towards every user, I think that makes a lot of difference in terms of creating that Swiss knife package, and from moving towards tactical content strategy towards moving from a very strategic content strategy. And that also needs a lot of change management, people management, and also strategic decisioning, and how you want to create your content modular enough so that they are reusable. The reusability factor of content is very crucial. And we, as from our perspective, our aim is to empower our marketers to make it self-service, like Nataliya rightly mentioned. Self-service is the key here, and even our content management system is self-service. So we break even the websites into modules, so that each module also can be, the content of the module can also be updated by the user. Of course, there is an MLR review prior to that, and then they will publish it. But then the content workflow should be easy, so that the workflow management, and there's of course a lot that needs to happen even to make MLR review a little more easy to track, and we don't want to add additional processes and burden our other stakeholders. So there's a cross-functional buy-in also, which is needed when we are talking about creating the omni-channel approach, so that it's not just us marketeers and digital leads speaking about it, but it's also the buy-in from the stakeholders. Because coming from pharma, it is very difficult to just release content and publish content. We always have to go through these channels, and we definitely have a long way to go. I agree with Jose Maria also on this, that if we do real-time interaction management, that's the ultimate pyramid goal, but it's very difficult to achieve that suddenly with only AI decisioning, because there is so many manual checks and expertise needed sometimes to not have content just generated without having the risk of MLR, all these violations coming in. So we are very critical of certain very progressive processes. We might have to have, like Pavel and Nataliya mentioning, the tagging and the controlling, taxonomy has to be controlled, so that we are able to create those real-time interactions without having the risk of getting into these violations, or running the risk of unscrutinized content published without anybody's intervention. And and we have to also check which is like the kind of priorities and goals in business that we have. What are the kind of interactions we prioritize, and what are the kind of content we prioritize also, and which are the ones that we would make more reusable first, because also we have to go like strategically, in a staggered stepwise approach to reach that ultimate goal. So I guess there's a lot that makes it a Swiss knife, toolkit. But yeah, I think in a nutshell, I think these are the things that I would say. And of course, if I just look purely from the platform strategic side, it is a headless CMS or content management workflow helps, because then irrespective of the channel, you can always have the same content, interacting in different channels. So you don't recreate or reinvent the wheel, and you have the similar user experience across all channels as well.
Very nice. Thanks, Romika. Pavel, same question too. You're muted, Pavel.
Sorry, can you repeat the question itself, because I have some network connections issues.
So how do you envision the perfect Swiss knife toolkit when we speak about the omni-channel approach?
Toolkit, like we already, I thought we already answered yes, no. all these six things that I mentioned. So people, process, input, and data. Once again,
Okay, thanks
it's
a
still
lot.
the same Swiss knife here for us.
Romika previously made a very interesting point related to experience, which certainly is something what we speak all the time about, but I think that we still didn't manage that in the proper way. So the next question would be how to deliver experience with content or through content and across different touch points. And maybe we can start with you, Romika, since you opened somehow this theme. So.
Yeah, so yeah, I lightly touched upon, having a headless CMS as a platform, as well as modular content, also like we all mentioned here in the panel. All that sort of helps us to create reusable content. We are also making processes easier, seamless in terms of for our MLR colleagues, stakeholders, cross-functional, management. It helps in creating and churning out reusable content as well. And it also empowers the users, the marketers, to use the same kind of content and strategically plan the content as well that can be used across all media, all channels. So the direction, of course, is there, and we are trying to also create that kind of an transformation with a starting step, so that we can also have this omni-channel approach. Empowering the users and the marketers is very important when it comes to this creation of the more reusable content and self-service. Self-service is also a key, which leads to a lot of training. Initial training and a learning curve is there, but once it's done, the marketers also feel more empowered, and then it is from there on, it's easier also to have a full omni-channel experience, and it's not a burden across, yeah. Sorry, Nataliya, I think you were.
Yeah, Romika, sorry, I just agree with you. Just the important thing, just to also, in addition to what you already told us, to align our goals as organization, as marketeer, with the goals of the user in this certain channel, right? So if we have everything from our experience standpoint, from the tool standpoint, and we have this alignment of our goals, so we then certainly we will deliver the user experience, because meeting the goal, creating the shortcut between our goals as organization and the goals of the user for each channel means delivering this experience.
Indeed.
And thank you. I just, yeah.
Yeah, it's more interactive as well. Thanks. And I think the last point which I wanted to make on this was also insights. So we have data across, different channels, and we also are aiming to have insights rather than having just repository of data sitting in different, channels, because it's very hard to, act on those, or react also on the data that's sitting on different channel activity of the customer. And that's also a key for us to have that kind of an experience. We need insights and, consolidation of data from various channels to give us that experience. So, and the marketers, the abilities for the marketers to have that data readily, insights readily available for them to also act on those different, journeys in the customer experience.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot, Romika. 𝗚cie, same question for you.
Yeah, I was actually, I'm going to connect it to what Romika was saying on the insights, because I think that the one of the key points here also is how do we look at the user? So, or to have a unified vision of the user. And I'm telling this because it has a big connection with the persona development or micro segmentation that you normally have, right? So in the pharma industry, we tend to segment doctors by specialty, for example, right? So we said, okay, we have the content for neurologists, for gastros, for etc. And then so obviously we have been doing some efforts into going into, now let's do persona development to identify behaviors, personality, preferences, etc., etc. But every team does their own thing. And I have seen in several companies that I have worked with, on even with friends in pharma, that it's always the same process. We bring a market research agency, we do a research, we ask the same questions, we end up with 4 personas, which is the traditionalist, the digital, the whatever, the trialist, and whatever. And so it are always 4 generic personas with always different names, and all under the same flag of saying my brand or the specialty or neurologist or cardiologist are different. So the more we understand that we have a unified vision, that if the person is a cautioner, if it's a person who is a risk avoider, it's probably a person who is not going to adopt a treatment more easily. And that means that your content, when you tag it, it's going to be probably reusable for all types of cautionary people, right? Regardless of the therapeutic area, let's say, because in the end, I mean, the therapeutic area, you will change the different efficacy data or MOA data. But for example, if you want to catch the attention of a doctor who is risk avoider, and then you have a content that can catch their attention, not related to your brand, but something that is going to catch their attention on their preferences, then this is something that is gonna really activate or unlock the potential of your of the reusability of your content. And I'm not sure if we are in the industry are still finding a common ground or of the persona development and how do we tag the content towards that persona, because we're still on the brand mindset many times, and we say my cautionary doctors are different from the cautionary doctors of the other brand, which is not necessarily true. So this is
I
go ahead.
totally agree. This very great comment just around the problem where we are brand driven, even we have personas rather than personas driven, and also these goals driven. We do not care a lot about these goals, but I think this is the progress we all have made. Thank you for this insight. That's very nice.
Thank you, Chairman. And last question for today, before we deep dive into the audience questions, is, and let's start with you, Pavel, is can you somehow predict the next big thing when it comes to engagement levels from content perspective?
Yes, easily, and we already name it personalization. Okay. Personalization, we really need to be as much personal as possible, especially taking into account two thoughts. First of all, our audience is much more valuable for us than for other industries. I'm, for example, before I'm stepping into the pharma area, I work with a lot of other industries, and there is, like, for FMCG, yeah, you have millions of customers. Okay, we lost this 100 of customers. It's not good things, but we'll have another 100. But here you have in some market, for example, 2,000 of some HCPs, some neurologists, and you will have this 2,000 for a long period of time. That will not so many new neurologists that will came into your market, into your database in the nearest future. So all these users, it's pretty valuable for you, and you really treat them as much personal as it's possible. And the second stuff that we need to take into account, that we are not only competing like within different pharmas. We're also competing, as Jose Maria mentioned it previously, with the Netflix, with Snowflake. They also bombarding our audience with some different next best actions and so on. And really, it's human beings. They are not only working as a HCP. They only have some needs, going to theater, yeah, buying some stuff, and so on. And these companies also trying to bombard him with different messages, communication as well. We also need to take into account that it's a big communication bubble, let's call it, yeah, for this HCP, and we really need to be consistent in our messages. Really need to take care of what we're saying through different channels. Yeah, we need to be and keep this consistency, personalized, consistent experience, I would say. And only this will give us the opportunity to break through all these noises and to keep in good shape in this upcoming era of new technologies, digitalization, next best actions, and so on.
Thanks a lot, Pavel. 𝗚cie.
I don't know, to be honest. I think the next best thing, it could be personalization, but also I'm not sure. I mean, maybe I can give you a different perspective, because I've been doing some research on the generation Z of doctors, or in general, which is coming, and I think this is where the next best thing is going to happen, not in this generation, but in the next one, because this generation is already facing personalization, and we need to meet that expectation. But the next one, I'm not sure if it's going to be almost even close to value-driven content, which is probably another concept. But because this generation is much more focused on being true to your values, that we are even going to start thinking about how can our content serve the needs, or identify better what the values of these customers, rather than being too not necessarily just personalized, but also that reflects completely the values that they have, which is somehow connected, but not personalization just in terms of channel preference and efficacy data and next best action, but also the additional step of is this content reflecting your values? Again, I'm not. It's a concept that has been running in my head recently, about after I've been investigating the behaviors of this new generation. So I don't have a, sorry, but I don't have a clear answer this time. I'm still trying to figure it out.
And it's of course.
Sorry, just to add short comment. Personalization for us, it's not only the right channel. It's also about the content. Yeah, when we send in different pieces, different content, different wording, different even messages to each particular person.
Certainly.
So that is like a core stuff. Channel is more like how in best way we deliver in this, but what exactly we're saying to this particular person. Yeah, it's really this is about personalization in first place.
Nataliya, same question for you.
I think I do understand 𝗚cie's point, and it gives like the additional dimension to our segmentation, this value-driven segmentation. And I do have the acquaintances and relatives in the that generation, and I can confirm that this is something we are the humanity is going to explore as the next best action. And because of the values, there a lot of things will be changed around us, because right now we are using the segmentation, which is like rather driven by our habits, even like what we used to do, not who we are, right? And in the next generation, we are to change the approach to segmentation, to add one more dimension. That means it is not the last dimension we will be adding within each new generation. And that means that artificial intelligence is in its early days right now, because it will really absorb a bigger part of our life. Personally, I'm not thrilled about this future where everyone will be guessing about what is my next best action, and if I'm about to get a shower now, or I'm about to read a book now, right? I'm not about this. This is probably very horrifying, you know, prospect, but I think we are all living a very interesting time when we will be able to enjoy the process of this transformation enormously, because we are building it. And this is something like when you are building, you are enjoying it sometimes too much. And yes, the next best action is our ability to create this flexible model of segmentation, where we will be able to add another and another dimension, and then we will need this artificial intelligence who will recognize the character, because today, as we mentioned before, like different brands, different scenarios, characters are still the same, right? With the different names, they're looking the same because they are crafted, handcrafted. We don't have more imagination. Like we are not within this handmade segmentation. We are not measuring at the accuracy level of machine. If we give this to machine, do our segmentation, you will see the difference. I think this is what is going on. But hopefully we will be enjoying building it.
And final words, Romika.
Yeah, I agree fully. You know, the personalization is the key. If you're able to achieve that, I think from, you know, it seems like, of course, our other, you know, industries are a little more ahead, like retail, etc. They have a lot of, you know, data points. They have a lot of customers, etc. And for them, personalization is probably, they are far ahead. But for us, the biggest thing is to actually, which can be achievable, is personalization and effective fulfillment. Now we have different channels of communication, but how and opportunities to fulfill different journeys of a customer. But then after a point, I think we will have the channel preferences of each of these, you know, HCPs, doctors, and, you know, having that channel preference also on the time of communication and the way we sort of gain more insights into what is working, you know, and what is not for, you know, getting that, you know, fulfillment, you know, getting the customer 360 view will eventually, I think, help us towards the omni-channel journey. Because at this point, personalization and, you know, preferences, we do have content management preferences. We want that, you know, in different areas and channels, we try to have HCPs choose what they want to, you know, read, or how do you want us to engage with. More the channels are opening up, now we will have preferences over which channels are probably working better than the others, and we want to target through those channels on what the next best action should be, or, you know, is this the right time to approach you, and then working towards maybe, you know, is this channel the right approach, and then channel scoring can happen, and then in the order of preference, rather than bombarding in different channels at the same time with, you know, the time of communication and content is also important, so that we are, you know, also effective in terms of how we are using our content, you know, because I feel also emails are very crucial in terms of also content. It starts with that in the very initial stage when we start to engage with any HCP for that matter. And then comes all the other channels of engagement. So at least in the digital side of platforms. And then, of course, we have the sales force as well, right? So the field force. So I think personalization, if achievable, nearly achievable, is actually going to be pretty big in itself in the pharma world, I guess.
Thanks a lot, Romika. So we literally ran out 5 minutes behind time, which means the discussion was amazing. We also received a lot of questions. Sorry that we couldn't make it to all of them, but we will try to answer those questions separately via email just after this meeting. So again, thanks a lot, Nataliya, Romika, Pavel, and 𝗚cie. It was a great pleasure. And looking forward to seeing some of you in beautiful Dubrovnik in May 2022. Take care.
You there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.